John Sullivan rubbed his tired eyes. The clock on the wall showed 5:30 a.m. His night shift at NASA's Deep Space Network was almost over. For 8 hours, he had watched screens full of data from space, looking for anything unusual. Most nights were quiet. This morning would be different. A strange sound came from his headphones. At first, he thought it was just random space noise. But something about this sound was different. It had a pattern. It repeated. Natural space noise didn't do that. "Hey, Linda, can you come listen to this?" John called to his coworker. Linda Martinez walked over, coffee cup in hand. She was the best signal analyst on the team. John handed her the headphones. Her eyes widened as she listened. "This isn't random," she said. "These are deliberate patterns. Run it through the computer again." John typed commands into his system. The computer began breaking down the signal, looking for mathematical patterns. Numbers appeared on the screen. Linda gasped. "John, I think we're looking at a message, an actual message from space." Within an hour, the room filled with scientists and government officials. Everyone wanted to see the signal. Experts worked to decode the strange message. By noon, they had their answer. It wasn't a greeting. It wasn't a threat. It was a cry for help. The message came from a species called the Varlings. Their main ship was failing. Nearly 50,000 of their people were trapped in deep space with failing life support. They had only 37 days left before everyone would die. The message included detailed information about their ship's location, their technology, and their situation. The Varlins couldn't fix their ship. None of their other ships could reach them in time. In desperation, they had sent messages in all directions, hoping someone, anyone, might hear them. Dr. Paul Harris, the NASA director, looked pale. "We need to call the president." News of the alien message spread quickly through government channels. In Washington, officials debated what to do. Some wanted to ignore the message. Others said humans couldn't possibly help even if they wanted to. The distance was too great. The technology too advanced. "This could be a trap," warned General Scott during an emergency meeting. "We know nothing about these aliens." Dr. Harris disagreed. "The details in their message check out. Our scans confirm radiation readings exactly where they say their ship is located. They're really out there, and they're really dying." For 3 days, world leaders argued about what to do. Then, against security advice, the message was released to the public. The world's reaction surprised everyone. People weren't afraid. They were moved. All around the globe, humans felt connected to these unknown beings lost in space, running out of air, hoping someone would save them. News channels showed images of what the alien ship might look like. Children sent drawings of humans and aliens holding hands. Religious leaders called it a test of humanity's compassion. Ordinary people gathered in city squares, holding signs saying "Save them" in dozens of languages. A global poll showed 89% of humans wanted to attempt a rescue. On the 4th day after receiving the signal, the United Nations Security Council met in New York. Representatives from every space-capable nation packed the room. Admiral Alan Foster, a decorated Navy veteran who had led many ocean rescues, addressed the group. His voice was calm but firm. "Throughout human history, when someone sends a distress call at sea, we respond. No matter who they are, where they're from, or what they look like. It's the law of the sea." He paused, looking around the room. "Now we must make it the law of space." The vote that followed was nearly unanimous. Earth would attempt the greatest rescue mission in human history. That evening, John Sullivan stood outside the NASA building, looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Varlings were watching the same stars, wondering if anyone had heard their call. "We heard you," John whispered. "Help is coming." The world moved faster than it ever had before. Just 1 week after receiving the alien distress call, NASA headquarters buzzed with activity. Engineers worked day and night. Rocket scientists canceled vacations. Space agency directors from around the world held meetings over video calls at strange hours. Everyone asked the same question. Could humans reach the Varlins in time? Karen Blackwell, the U.S. Secretary of Defense, wasn't convinced. She stood at the front of a packed meeting room at the United Nations building in New York. "This could be dangerous," she said, pointing to a map of space on the wall screen. "We know nothing about these aliens. What if this is a trick to get our best ships and people far from Earth?" Many heads nodded. Fear was natural when facing the unknown. Then Peter Wu, director of the new Extraterrestrial Communication Division, stepped up. He was a quiet man who rarely raised his voice. But today he spoke with passion. "We've studied their message for days now," he said. "Everything they told us matches what our telescopes see. The radiation leaking from their ship is real. The danger they face is real." He looked around the room. "They are dying out there. This is not a trick." The room fell quiet. Then Admiral Alan Foster stood up. His uniform was decorated with medals from 30 years of service. He had saved hundreds of lives at sea. "When I was a young sailor," he began, "my ship received a distress call during a storm. The captain didn't know who was calling or if we could help. But he said something I never forgot. The sea doesn't care where you're from. Neither should we." He paused, making eye contact with people around the room. "Space is just another ocean, bigger and darker. But the rules should be the same. We help those in need." His words changed the mood in the room. When the vote came, nearly everyone agreed. Operation Lifeline would begin immediately. The plan was bold. Every country with space technology would work together. Rockets that weren't ready would be finished in days instead of months. Old spacecraft would be fixed and launched again. New engines that had only been tested in labs would power the rescue ships. Leading the mission would be Commander Olivia Diaz. At 42, she had spent more time in space than any other active astronaut. She had walked in space 15 times and commanded 3 space station missions. If anyone could lead this impossible rescue, it was her. In Houston, Commander Diaz reviewed crew files. She needed the best team possible. "Ryan Phillips for pilot," she told her assistant. "He's tested the new drives. And we need Dr. Elizabeth Morgan as medical officer. She's been studying the Varlin biology information." For chief engineer, she chose Greg Hernandez. He had built engines all his life and could fix almost anything. The rest of the crew was selected for their skills, courage, and ability to stay calm under pressure. The night before launch, Olivia called her daughter from the crew quarters. "Will you be back for my birthday?" asked Sophia, who would turn 16 in 2 months. Olivia wanted to promise, but couldn't lie. "I'm not sure, honey. This mission is different from anything we've done before." "I know, Mom. You're going to save aliens." Sophia was trying to sound brave, but Olivia heard the worry in her voice. "I'll come back," Olivia said. "I promise. And I'll have the best story ever." On launch day, the weather was perfect. Blue sky with no clouds. At Kennedy Space Center, thousands of people gathered to watch. Millions more watched on screens around the world. The U.S. Samaritan stood tall on the launch pad. It was Earth's newest and best spaceship, now modified for the longest journey humans had ever attempted. Inside the spacecraft, Commander Diaz and her crew finished their final checks. The weight of their mission pressed on them all. 50,000 alien lives depended on them. So did humanity's first impression on the galaxy. "Launch control to Samaritan," came a voice through their headsets. "All systems go for launch. Godspeed, Commander." Olivia looked at her crew, then pressed the communication button. "Samaritan to control. We are ready. Let's make history." The engines ignited with a roar that shook the ground for miles. Slowly at first, then faster, the massive ship lifted off the Earth, carrying with it humanity's best hope to save a dying alien race. Space was darker than Commander Olivia Diaz remembered. From the main window of the U.S. Samaritan, Earth now looked like a small blue marble. They had been traveling for 3 days, and already home seemed so far away. "Status report," She called to her crew. "Engines working at 98%, said Chief Engineer Greg Hernandez. He hadn't slept much since launch, watching over the experimental drives like they were his children. "The new Alcubierre system is holding steady. We're moving faster than any humans ever have." Even at this incredible speed, reaching the Varling ship would take most of their 37-day window. The alien vessel was deep in space, far from any star system. Ryan Phillips, the pilot, turned from his controls. "Commander, the other ships are requesting a fleet meeting. The Russians are having some trouble with their oxygen systems." The rescue mission wasn't just one ship. 5 vessels from different countries formed the fleet. The American U.S. Samaritan, the Russian Cosmograd, the Chinese Long Journey, the European Unity, and the Indian Shakti. Together, they carried the best technology and brightest minds Earth had to offer. Using the ship's communication system, Olivia spoke with the other captains. Captain Sokolov of the Cosmograd looked tired. "Our oxygen recyclers are running at 70%, he explained. "We can manage, but the repair will take time." "We'll slow down for one day so you can make repairs," Olivia decided. "We can't leave anyone behind." After the call, she walked through the Samaritan, checking on her crew. In the science lab, Dr. Elizabeth Morgan was studying the Varling information. "Any progress understanding their biology?" Olivia asked. Dr. Morgan pointed to her screen. "They're so different from us. Their blood is blue because it uses copper instead of iron. They breathe a mix of gases that would kill a human. Yet somehow, they think like we do. They feel fear, hope, love for their families." Olivia nodded. Different bodies, same hearts. In the communications room, Frank Rodriguez was making a breakthrough. He waved Olivia over excitedly. "Commander, I've managed to send messages directly to the Varling ship. Their language is complex, but we're finding common ground in mathematics. They understand we're coming to help." This was huge news. Until now, they had only received the original distress message. Direct communication would make the rescue much easier. "What are they saying?" Olivia asked. Frank looked at his notes. "They're surprised. They didn't think anyone would come, especially not beings from another world. They're grateful. And they're scared. Their situation is getting worse." That night, Olivia couldn't sleep. She floated in her small cabin, looking at a picture of her daughter Sophia. The girl had her mother's determination in her eyes. Next to the picture was a small plant, a gift from Sophia. "So you have something alive from Earth," she had said at their goodbye. A soft alarm sounded throughout the ship. Olivia pushed herself quickly through the corridors to the bridge. "What's happening?" she asked as she arrived. Science Officer Nickel Winters pointed to the main screen. "We're picking up radiation spikes from the direction of the Varling ship. Their reactor containment might be failing faster than they thought." The news hit the crew hard. They might not have 37 days after all. Olivia made a quick decision. "Contact the fleet. We need to increase speed." "The drives aren't tested at higher levels," Greg warned. "We don't know if they'll hold." "We have to try," Olivia said firmly. "Those people trusted us to come. We won't let them down." The order went out to the fleet. One by one, the other captains agreed. The engines hummed louder as they pushed to new speeds. From Earth, Mission Control watched the fleet's progress with concern. The ships were now moving so fast that their signals took longer to reach home. If something went wrong, no one on Earth could help them. Olivia addressed her crew over the ship's system. "We're on our own now, farther from home than humans have ever been. But we're not alone. We have each other. And soon, we'll meet the Varlings. Let's make sure they live to thank us in person." As the ships accelerated into the darkness, a new message came from the Varling vessel. It was simple, just 3 words that Frank translated. "We see you." After 12 days of travel, the human fleet finally saw the Varling ship. It was enormous, bigger than any spacecraft humans had ever built. The long vessel looked like a huge metal whale floating in the blackness of space. "It's beautiful," whispered Nicole Winters, the science officer. Everyone on the bridge of the U.S. Samaritan stared at the screen in amazement. But beauty wasn't why they had come. Sensor readings showed dangerous radiation leaking from the ship's center. The Varlian's main power source was failing, just as they had said in their message. Commander Olivia Diaz called a meeting with her top crew members. "We need to board their ship and see the situation firsthand," she said. "Dr. Morgan, what have you learned about the Varlans that might help us?" Dr. Elizabeth Morgan showed images on her tablet. "They breathe different air than we do. They're taller than humans, about 7 feet tall. Their skin is blue and slightly shiny. They have 4 arms instead of 2. But their minds work like ours. They feel emotions. They care for their families." "Will they be dangerous to us?" asked Dwayne Richards, a security officer. "Their germs can't hurt us, and ours can't hurt them," Dr. Morgan said. "We're too different, but we should still wear protective suits, just to be safe." Olivia chose the team for first contact. Commander Ryan Phillips, Dr. Morgan, Engineer Greg Hernandez, and security officers Dwayne Richards and Samantha Lee. Together, they boarded a small shuttle to travel from the Samaritan to the Varlane ship. As they approached, they could see damage on the huge ship's outer shell. Parts of it were dark, with no lights showing inside. "Many sections must have lost power already," Greg said. "Those people are in trouble." The shuttle reached the Varlane ship's docking area. But there was a problem. The door to connect the ships was the wrong shape for the human shuttle. "I need to make an adapter," Greg said. He went to work using the shuttle's 3D printer. After an hour, he had built a tunnel that would connect the 2 ships safely. "Ready?" Olivia asked the team. Everyone nodded, putting on their helmets. The airlock opened. The team floated through the connecting tunnel, hearts beating fast. This was the moment humans would meet aliens for the first time in history. The inner door slid open. Standing there were 5 tall, blue-skinned beings. The Varlans. For a moment, nobody moved. The humans stared at the aliens, and the aliens stared back. Then one Varlian stepped forward. It wore a special sash across its chest, probably showing it was a leader. It raised its 4 hands, palms open, a universal sign of peace. Commander Phillips stepped forward from the human group. He also raised his hands to show he carried no weapons. The Varlane spoke. Its voice was musical but strange to human ears. Frank Rodriguez, listening from the shuttle, quickly worked with the translation computer. "They're saying welcome." Frank's voice came through the team's earpieces. "The one with the sash is called Star Walker. It's their captain." Ryan spoke slowly, knowing his words would be translated. "We are humans from planet Earth. We received your distress call and came to help." When the Varlane heard the translation, its large eyes blinked rapidly. Frank translated again. "Star Walker says they had almost lost hope. Many of their people have already died from radiation sickness. They didn't truly believe anyone would come, especially not beings from another world." Dr. Morgan stepped forward. "We need to see your sick people and your damaged reactor. We want to help as many as we can." Star Walker led them through corridors where more Varlans stood watching. Some looked weak or ill. All seemed amazed to see the humans. Children peeked from behind adults, their eyes wide with wonder. The ship was designed for a long journey between stars, a generation ship where people would live their entire lives. It had farms, schools, and living areas. But now many sections were empty and dark. "Their home is dying," Greg said quietly, "just like they told us." In a large room, hundreds of Varlans were gathered. When the humans entered, the aliens fell silent. Then, one by one, they touched their foreheads to the floor, a sign of deep respect. Star Walker spoke again, and Frank translated. "They say you have crossed the stars to help strangers. They have no words to thank you enough." Olivia stepped forward. Looking at the gathered aliens, she said, "That's what humans do. We help those in need, no matter who they are or where they come from. Chief Engineer Greg Hernandez had never seen technology like this before. The Varlian reactor room was huge, with machines that hummed and glowed with blue light. But in the center, behind thick walls, something was very wrong. The main power core leaked dangerous radiation. Warning lights flashed everywhere. Their containment system is failing, Greg told Commander Olivia. The radiation will soon reach the living areas. Starwalker, the Varlian leader, stood nearby with 3 of their engineers. Through the translation system, they explained the problem. This technology was old when our journey began, Starwalker said. Our ancestors understood it better than we do. We have tried for months to fix it, but we cannot. Back on the U.S. Samaritan, Olivia called a meeting with all 5 ship captains. Through video screens, she showed them what they had found. The situation is worse than we thought, she said. Their reactor will completely fail in about 4 days, not 30. And their ship is too large for our vessels to carry everyone. Captain Daniel Stewart of the Russian ship Cosmograd frowned. How many can we save? At most, about 20,000, Olivia replied. Less than half of their people. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. They would have to choose who lived and who died. Captain Lin of the Chinese ship spoke up. Who decides which Varlins we take? Before anyone could answer, Greg raised his hand. I might have another option. We could use our ship's Alcubierre drives to power their vessel temporarily. Captain Stewart looked shocked. That would leave us stranded out here with them. Yes, Greg admitted, but it might save everyone. The debate lasted for hours. Some captains argued they should save who they could and return to Earth. Others thought they should stay and help all the Varlins. Finally, Olivia stood up. We came here to save lives. All of them. If staying means everyone's lives, then that's what we'll do. They took a vote. 3 ships would stay. The Samaritan, the Long Journey, and the Unity. Their drives would power the Varlian ship long enough to reach a nearby star system where they might find materials to build proper repairs. The Cosmograd and the Shakti would return to Earth with Varlian scientists and children, carrying news of what had happened. When Starwalker heard the plan, the alien was silent for a long time. Then it performed a gesture no human had seen before, touching its head to the floor at Olivia's feet. Your people sacrifice your way home to save strangers, Starwalker said through the translator. In our history, no one has ever shown such kindness to us. Work began immediately. The Varlins cleared a large area near their failing reactor. Human engineers carefully removed the Alcubierre drives from the 3 staying ships. The technology was delicate and dangerous. One mistake could cause an explosion. For 2 days straight, Greg worked alongside Varlian engineers. Despite their different bodies and languages, they found ways to communicate through diagrams and simple gestures. Together, they connected the human drives to the Varlian power system. Meanwhile, Dr. Morgan treated sick Varlins in their medical center. Many were weak from radiation exposure. Some would not survive even with help. But for most, the human medicines helped ease their pain. On the 3rd day, the time came to say goodbye to those returning to Earth. Families were separated. Friends said farewell without knowing if they would ever meet again. Captain Stewart approached Olivia before boarding his shuttle. I still think you're crazy to stay, he said, but I respect your choice. He handed her a small device. Our best research on improving the drives. Maybe it will help you build new ones someday. As the 2 ships departed for Earth, Olivia watched them grow smaller on the screen. Part of her wondered if she had made the right choice. Would they ever see Earth again? That night, she recorded a message for her daughter, knowing it would take years to reach home. Sophia, I won't be back as soon as I hoped, but I need you to understand why. Sometimes we have to make hard choices to do what's right. I love you more than anything in this universe. The next morning, Greg was ready to activate the new power system. Everyone watched nervously as he pressed the final sequence of buttons. For a terrible moment, nothing happened. Then the lights throughout the Varlian ship grew brighter. The hum of machinery returned to areas that had been dark for weeks. It had worked. The ship had power again. 50,000 lives had been saved. But the human crews were now committed to the Varlian's journey. A journey that might last for years. 1 month had passed since the human ships gave their drives to power the Varlian vessel. The huge generation ship now moved slowly toward a distant star system, where they hoped to find materials to build proper repairs. Life aboard the ship was changing. The humans had to adjust to living in a world not made for them. The air was different, the food strange, the gravity slightly lighter than Earth's. But the Varlings worked hard to make them comfortable. A section of the ship was redesigned just for the humans. The aliens changed the air mix in these rooms to match Earth's atmosphere. They built beds to fit human bodies. They even tried to grow earth plants in their farm areas, using seeds from the human ships. Commander Olivia Diaz now served on a new council that governed the combined community. Every day brought new challenges as the two species learned to work together. "We need to conserve more power," she told the council during one meeting. "The drives won't last forever at this rate." Star Walker agreed. "Several living sections can be closed. My people are willing to live in smaller spaces to save energy." Not everyone was happy with the situation. A group of human crew members from the European ship Unity felt they had been forced to stay. Their leader, Engineer Paul Weber, often complained during meals. "We should have gone back with the Russians," he told anyone who would listen. "We're trapped here now, probably forever." Olivia understood their feelings. She missed Earth too. The blue sky, the fresh air, the feel of rain. Most of all, she missed her daughter Sophia. But she knew they had made the right choice. One day, Dr. Morgan came to Olivia with exciting news. "The Varlins have shared their medical knowledge with me," she said. "They have treatments we've never imagined on Earth. They might help us live longer, healthier lives." This wasn't the only exchange of knowledge. Greg Hernandez worked with Varlian engineers every day. Together, they were designing new engines that combined both species' technology. "They understand space travel in ways we don't," Greg explained to Olivia. "And we understand material science in ways they don't. Together, we're creating something new." In the ship's school area, human and Varlian children were learning together. At first, they had been shy with each other. Now they played games and studied side by side. The human children were learning the musical Varlian language, while the alien children practiced English. But not all news was good. The ship's long-range sensors detected a problem ahead, a field of space debris that could damage their already weakened vessel. "We need to change course," Olivia told the council. "But that will use more power and add months to our journey. If we go through the debris field, we risk new damage to our hull," Star Walker said. "Many sections are already weak." The choice was difficult. Use more precious power or risk the safety of everyone aboard. In the end, they decided to go around the danger, even though it meant their journey would take longer. That evening, Paul Weber and his group came to Olivia's quarters. She expected more complaints, but Weber's attitude had changed. "We've been thinking," he said. "Since we're going to be here for years, we want to be more useful. Some of us have skills that could help improve the ship's systems." Olivia smiled. "We need every hand and mind working together if we're going to make it." Later, alone in her room, Olivia looked at the small plant from Earth that still grew in its pot, a reminder of home. Next to it was a new addition, a Varlian crystal that glowed softly in the dark. Star Walker had given it to her as a symbol of friendship. She recorded another message for her daughter, even though she didn't know when Sophia would hear it. "Things are changing here," she said. "At first, we were just visitors helping strangers. Now we're becoming something new, not just humans or Varlins, but a community of people who care for each other. I think that's worth the sacrifice we made." Outside her window, the stars streamed by slowly. Among them, too far to see, was Earth's sun, a tiny point of light that meant home. It was farther away now than ever, but Olivia felt a new sense of purpose. They weren't just surviving. They were building something important, the first true community of two worlds. 5 years had passed since the day humans first boarded the Varlian ship. What had begun as a rescue mission had grown into something no one expected, a new society of two different species living as one. The ship, now called Convergence, continued its journey through space. They had passed the halfway point to their destination, a star system with planets that might support both human and Varlian life. Commander Olivia Diaz, now 50 years old with streaks of gray in her hair, walked through the farm section of the ship. Here, plants from Earth grew next to Varlian crops. Scientists from both species had worked for years to create this shared garden that fed everyone aboard. "The tomatoes are doing well this season," said Greg Hernandez, joining her on her walk. His engineering skills had turned to farming in recent years. "Who would have thought we'd be growing Earth food in deep space?" Olivia smiled. "My daughter Sophia would love to see this." The thought of Sophia no longer brought sharp pain. Time had softened the hurt of separation. Sophia would be 21 now, a grown woman back on Earth. As they walked, Varlian children ran past, playing with human children. These youngest members of the Convergence had never known any other life. To them, it was normal to have friends with blue skin and 4 arms. "Dr. Morgan wants to see you," Greg said. "She says it's important." In the medical center, Dr. Elizabeth Morgan was working with Star Walker's child, a young Varlian who had been born with a weak heart. Using a mix of human and Varlian medical knowledge, Dr. Morgan had developed a treatment no single species could have created alone. "The treatment is working," she told Olivia. "But that's not why I called you. We received a new message from Earth." Olivia's heart beat faster. Messages from Earth were rare and precious. Radio signals took years to cross the vast distance between them. "What does it say?" she asked. "They've launched ships to find us," Dr. Morgan said, her eyes bright with excitement. 9 ships with new, faster drives. They've been traveling for 6 months. They should reach us in about 2 years. Olivia sat down, overwhelmed by the news. 2 years. We thought it would be at least 20 before anyone could reach us. Apparently, the Varlian scientists who went back to Earth helped humans make big improvements to our technology. And Earth scientists have been working day and night to find a way to bring us home. That evening, Olivia shared the news with the ship's council. Both humans and Varlians celebrated together. Some humans cried at the thought of seeing Earth again. Some Varlians worried about what would happen to their community. Star Walker, now an elder with faded blue skin, spoke to calm everyone's fears. "The Convergence will not end. We have become more than 2 separate peoples. Whatever happens when these ships arrive, we will face it together." Later that night, Olivia stood at the observation window, looking at the stars. Somewhere out there was the fleet from Earth, coming closer each day. Would she go back when they arrived? The question was harder to answer than she would have thought 5 years ago. The ship's sensors suddenly beeped with an alert. A young Varlian officer called Olivia over to see the screen. "We're detecting a signal," she said, "not from Earth. It's coming from ahead of us, from a system we haven't visited." "Another distress call?" Olivia asked, remembering how their journey had begun. "No," the officer replied. "It's more like a greeting. A message from another species we haven't met before." Olivia called Greg, Dr. Morgan, and Star Walker to the bridge. Together, human and Varlian side by side, they listened to the new signal coming from the stars ahead. "Should we answer?" asked Star Walker. Olivia looked around at her friends. Not human friends or Varlian friends, just friends. Together they had faced death, found hope, and built a new way of living. They had proven that different worlds could come together when it mattered most. "Yes," she said, "we should answer. That's what we do, isn't it? We reach out to others. We help. We connect. That's who we are now." As the Convergence changed course toward the mysterious signal, both species looked to the future with something neither had fully expected to find in the darkness of space: hope, and the knowledge that they were no longer alone in the universe.